certainly feel that, and in talking to all the chiefs around Utah, they feel that as well. So that's kind of our current market environment. It could be worse. California is really struggling. Some areas of Utah is really struggling. California, in some areas, they're doing $100,000 sign-on bonus, as well as they pay around $130,000 a year. Luckily, we're not there, and I can't promise we'll never be there, but we're not there right now. So as far as solution, my best solution is to retain. We're in a very healthy place. For the first time since I've been here, we're fully staffed. We have great officers. We've put a lot of investment into these officers. Most of the ones we have sponsored through the police academy. It's been about a 2-year process and an investment of initial $120,000. I think to keep that staffing that we have, it behooves us to stay within that competitive range. So this is a survey we did just for pay and benefits. This is kind of the responses. It's pretty straight to the point. I just wanted to see what's most important. As you can see, the two areas as far as hourly pay and benefits, they're equally important to our officers. I wasn't really surprised by that. The second one I was actually pretty surprised by in a good way. You know, in Salt Lake, I think we would see a lot more, at least 50% of people say A. Basically, how do you feel about working with the city? If it takes them a couple of years to catch us up, is that something you're willing to wait on? And I didn't have one person say no. Everybody was okay with that. They understood. And I attribute that a lot to the relationships we built. I mean, we have a great reputation as a city and a police department, and I think people want to be a part of that, and they trust us to take care of them. The most popular, 70%, as I understand, change takes time, so they're open to changing with time. And then we have a few saints that would basically, they're doing it for the right reasons, and that's for the culture and the work. But unfortunately, we can't function with just 30% of our staff. This is our survey results as far as what's most important to you by level of importance. You have your hourly pay and wage at number 1. Number 2 is healthy staffing. The reason that's so important to police officers is it's correlated with safety. You know, if there's 2 of us on, we have a greater chance of getting home safe every night, and it means a lot to the guys and gals that work for us. Equipment and overtime, they don't really care about that. Those top 2 are pretty much what I expected to see. So this is kind of the data on the current market that I called. We contacted all these agencies. These are our biggest competitors, and we're all competing for the same small pool of officers. As you can see, you have Brigham, the Sheriff's Office, and Perry. This is their old scale. They're actually, in speaking with their chief, they're trying to get closer to the Sheriff's Office. I wouldn't advise going above Brigham or anything like that. We don't want to drive the market up, but this is kind of where we're at. So if we were to match today, the bottom dollar amount is about $25.37 an hour for all the necessary adjustments. This is what I would recommend, but I don't think we'll lose people if we're $1 or $2 below. It's when we get the huge deficits. And as you can see in some of these areas, especially at the sergeant level, there's quite a bit of, we're behind quite a bit. This is if we aim a little bit lower, it saves us a couple bucks on the bottom right there. And I think we could still retain, but I can't guarantee it. But that's kind of how the numbers work out, just trying to match the county. This is the cost overall to the budget. So we met with Curtis. He factored in things I didn't think of, like URS, other associated costs. Obviously, with option 2, that number is going to be lower, but that's the total amendment we would need to the budget. So how do we fix it? There's a couple options I have for you, and I worked with Curtis on a couple of this. The first one is adjust over the next couple of years. This allows us to have a plan and have it be less impactful if we do use taxes or whatever to cover that cost. It's not as significant. The first year we could probably absorb in our budget. I talked to Curtis about that. Now that's not free money. That would just mean we'd have to cut a lot out and kind of run bare bones. It's not ideal, but it will get us through this coming year. After that, it's about $83,000 per year. Pros, steady increase, not a shock. Little to no budgetary impact for this coming fiscal year. Cons, there's a couple. Obviously, I can't control the market. I can't guarantee we're going to stay ahead if we do that. Maybe we plan for a 3-year adjustment and some other cities make those adjustments again before we get there. That's just the reality of the market we're in. It will likely require some type of tax or financial support from the city, and it'll cause us, at least for that first year, to pause a lot of the things we're trying to accomplish as the department. And that's just to make up the difference within our budget. Number 2 is reduce staff to adjust the budget. I went back and forth with Curtis on this. I absolutely hate this idea, and I'll show you why, but he wanted me to give you guys all available options. This would reduce the amount. That's the big pro on it. This is why I don't recommend it. I reached out to our city planner. We have all these developments coming in. With that, we're going to see population growth, and there's other things such as annexations and other things that are going to increase that hypothetically. Using the mayor's numbers and adding the estimated population growth of the city planner, we're looking at that population, which is about 16,000, and that would give us 1 officer per 766. That would be a higher number if we end up cutting a position as well. That's just what we're on track for today if we don't add allocations. And our goal, we set that first year or second year I was here, was 1 officer per 650. That's the average for Box Elder. In other cities, it's closer to 1 per 550, but for our needs, I feel comfortable 650 to 700. Once we get past that, we're getting pretty far behind. This would basically have us use attrition. On average, statistically, we'll lose about 1 officer per year. And we could just absorb that and use that to fund this. Now, the reason I'm giving you this option, obviously it's half the cost, somewhere around $42,500 per year, is while it's not a good option, it is an option, and it's not the worst option. The worst option is not taking action, in my opinion. A lot of cities that fail to take action will end up losing 3 or 4 people, and then they won't be able to backfill those positions, and it's a bad situation. So if we're choosing the worst, I guess the best worst option, this could be it. It's a smaller tax, less cost is the only pro. It's going to put us behind on staffing. It's not as safe for our officers. It's going to cost us at some point down the road. And it's terrible for morale. And we still got to count on continued growth. Another option is to fix the problem next year, use both property tax and sales tax. This is my preferred, but ultimately that decision lies on the council. It's going to cost a upfront amount of $250. We can do a good faith adjustment this year within the budget to try to let them know, like, hey, it's coming. There's plenty of pros to this. No tax adjustment needed for this year. We can stay up to date in the Box Elder County market. I'd say it's good for our morale overall. We've always been taken care of by the cities, and I think it goes a long way. And it's safer, and it's less impact as far as if we do need to make small adjustments to stay up to snuff with these other cities. So some options with the funding. This is kind of what we talked to Bo about. He had some creative ideas, and at the end of the day, I don't personally care how we skin the cat as long as we reach the result together. So if we fund this with property tax and we made that full adjustment for the match, it'd be about $58 per household per year. And this isn't even accounting for the developments we have in the process. This is just based on the auditor's report from Box Elder County Commission. The other option is funding with sales tax. This is just kind of our numbers that came in the report every month. And we've seen a pretty steady increase over the years. It would roughly require 1 month's dedicated sales tax, which I understand we're all competing for the budget as a city, and you guys have a ton of priorities. I just want to give you every option. So 1 month of dedicated sales tax will cover it. If we end up coming low, I think our budget can absorb that as well. Curtis hates this, by the way. He wants to know the money's there. I feel pretty comfortable with it because we have seen a steady incline.
So it's predictable.
Correct, yeah. Worst case scenario, maybe it's a month and a half, 1 year, but ultimately that's on the council to make those decisions. If we fund this with a combined approach, it'd only be about $2.41 per month per household and about half a month's sales tax. That gives you more cushion as well.
For the record, I didn't necessarily recommend any of these.
Yeah, that's true. No, you had a completely different solution, and I'll let you share that with the council as well if you want to. You know more about it than me, but for the sake of this presentation, I didn't include that.
Yeah.
My recommendation is you decide how to fund the change. Like I said, there's options I like more and there's options I like less, but it's important to have options. And it's also important to take action before we are in a catch-up mode. And I'll explain that a little bit more. I would like to see us match just so we can stay in tune with the current market. I'd hate for Perry and Box Elder to be ahead of us because then we're in a more reactive position. And we're here every day that people are losing people and they're stealing from other people. And we've had a lot of loyalty and we've been very fortunate in that. I'd like to keep that. But a lot of that comes with all the hard decisions you've made over the last couple of years to get that kind of loyalty from our officers. The cost to replace an officer up front, it's about 120 grand. We have to send them through the police academy. We have to fully equip them. We have to provide vehicles, technology, so they can do their job. Once they complete the academy, they go into an FTO program. Before they're out on their own, it's anywhere from a year to a little bit over a year. From them, they're out on their own. I wouldn't really call them a complete asset at that time. They're new, they're still learning on the job. It takes roughly 2 years of training till they're an asset. And if you go back and we were to look at the California lump sum payment, 100,000 sign-on, it sounds crazy, but it's actually pretty smart because what they're doing is they're paying that up front for assets. That's for lateral officers, so they don't have to go through that 2-year wait and they don't have to deal with the issue of training and supporting them for that training period. What I don't want to see us become is a training agency for other departments. That's one of my fears because then we're just losing money every year over year. Police department, we've seen a lot of results. You guys have seen that in the newspaper. Really proud of the guys. They're doing great things. And we have a great reputation. So those are some things we have going for us. So I'm just going to touch base on a couple things. It might be a little bit redundant. These are some of our accomplishments, strong reputation in the Box Elder County area. We've seen a downward crime trend, and I'm super proud of that, and that's just dedication from our people, and I'll show you why in the next slide. We're doing progressive police work. We're top in the county for community police work. We do a Know Your Force program. And basically, every time our officers go on a call, they're able to give a review on our officers. We average a 4.8 rating, so much so that the company that offers that program has reached out and asked for tips and tricks for other departments and what we're doing. They want to mimic that, which is awesome. Historical results overall for our city, both cities, as far as what we're accomplishing. And we're undefeated in our baseball team and our police lemonade challenge. So there's no fire chief here tonight, so I can't really plug it, but I think Wes was at the baseball game. This is an example of what we'd expect to see with crime. This is West Valley. I was looking for cities in Utah that had a similar growth over a similar period of time. This is old data, but they had roughly about 3,000 growth. That kind of matches the numbers we've been seeing over the last couple of years. And I'll show you on our numbers. But basically on that chart, you could see that's the crime rate correlating with the year. And you see kind of a steady incline. This is what most graphs of police department crimes with population would look like. Most studies would support that as the population grows, crime goes up. We've actually seen an inverse. Now, it's kind of like looking at a stock market chart, but a lot of these are on a downward trajectory. As far as like sex crimes, theft, burglary, assaults tapering up a little bit, and we're working on that with the schools. But family fights, everything in between, we're seeing some reduction. But in contrast, you're also going to see a huge incline on proactive work. We have incline on search warrants, community policing, proactive patrol. That's huge. And that's basically, we're not sitting around waiting for calls. We're going out, we're interacting, and we're looking for crime in our community. And our population is pretty healthy too. You're seeing year over year growth, and what we'd expect to see is the crimes going up with the population, but we're kind of doing the opposite, which is fantastic. These are the numbers by percentage points. I'll let you review those, but pretty much in all areas we've made a positive impact on crime, and it all can be attributed to that proactive police work. So population growth, we went from 9,000 from 2020 to about 12,970, and these numbers come from the mayor, who's pretty in tune with our numbers. My job is to brag about my guys and tell you how worth it. So I figured I would reach out to our most senior officer. This is from Sergeant Heyman. He's been with the department for 20 years, Tremont, the entire time. And he said great things. He's seen a huge impact as well. So it's not just me saying this for the sake of saying it. The people within our organization are seeing the change. And nobody knows our community like this gentleman here. So with that, I will say that we did present to our Garland Council, and they were actually really supportive. We had residents coming up after the council meeting in the workshop saying, hey, we're totally supportive, we want to be there for you, as well as the council members. Councilmember Losi recommended we match just based on the cost to hire, train, and retain those officers. He felt it was more fiscally responsible. Questions for me?
What's your staffing now? I mean, at some point you gotta,
Yeah.
if you're staffed up or you gotta stop, especially if one of the things is you're gonna reduce, so.
Yeah, no, I don't like the reduction thing. Our staffing right now is we are 21 allocations, and we have 21 officers. So we're fully staffed for the first time in years. But my first year, that was one of the things. We had a couple openings, and I was trying to recruit. We had an application process with 30 people showing up, and you've been a part of those with the fire department. We had, what was it?
30, we reached out to 34 showed up. So 30 didn't show up for the.
Yeah, 4 showed up out of 30. So that's our environment. I know firefighters, it's different. Everybody loves firefighters, but we had 30. I actually reached out to the fire department to help because it was such a big process, and we only had 4 show up. After the physical test and the written test, we had 0. We only had one person pass the physical test, which is a 1.5 mile run, and they didn't pass the written exam. So we were back to square one. Pretty disenchanting, but that's just the reality. The other thing to consider is we've gotten a lot, as law enforcement community, bad PR over the years, a lot of political things going on, and it drove the profession in a direction where it's really hard to get people interested in the job. And that's where we're living now, and we have to just kind of respond to that. Go ahead.
What's been just in the last year, 2024, what's your turnover been like?
Yeah, so it's really not bad, Lyle. We've lost an officer here or there. On average, I looked at it, it's around 1 per year, but it's not for problems with our morale or our department. It's more other things that come up. Like, for instance, last year we lost a really good detective, guy we all love. He was actually our officer of the year, and he was having a baby, and he wanted to be closer to family, so he relocated Spanish Fork, I believe. And so it was a life-changing move for him and his family, and that's why he left. But, I mean, he'll pop in, he'll pop in periodically and visit us. Very good relationships. It hasn't been like, I want to leave because I hate this place. And that's kind of what it averaged out, about 1 here and there, just usually life circumstances. Awesome, thank you.
Got some questions?
Yeah,
Of course I would, right?
Yeah.
First of all, when we discussed this last time, and we had a vote on if we should increase our property taxes or not, I voted against that.
Sure.
But the reputation I got was I don't like the police department.
Okay.
And I'm very frustrated over that reputation because I was very clear to state that I wanted to see us put in what we were doing. I just wanted to see a different funding mechanism. So I'm a little scared to even ask questions now because I'm become a police hater again, and that's not who I am. And I hope you know that. I support our police department 100%, and I think you guys are doing a great job. And they need to know that.
Sure.
But it's our job to look for other options to try to do the best thing we can and to suggest things because we represent we represent you and we represent the people of the city. So I hope that we ask questions or we push back a little bit. It doesn't come across that we don't appreciate what you guys are doing.
Yeah, no, I hear you completely, Brett. We're all on the same team. I can't control the sentiment of the community or maybe the officers that were in that meeting, but I understand that. And sitting up here is a tough job because you guys often have no matter what you do, people are going to be upset and they're going to be mad. So I appreciate your sentiment and the things you're saying about our department. I think we're doing great things as well, but it's not easy and it's your job. And what I've learned about the council over the years is I try to bring you all the latest and greatest information so you can make the best possible decision based on the numbers and the stats. Because at the end of the day, I want to do everything in my power to give you all the information you need to make the best possible decision. And I don't want it to come back like, oh man, we wouldn't have done this if we knew this. So my point in this is I would rather be ahead of a problem before we have a major issue and we're doing drastic changes to catch back up. And you see it in other cities all the time. I just don't want that for our city. But yeah, I understand. You definitely have a hard job up there.
So with that said,
Sure.
one good way to measure a city is an index of how many police officers per thousand we have available.
Sure.
Okay, now if we're at 13,000 people and we're at 21 police officers, that's a pretty low ratio compared to what the national average is.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate. Yeah, like I have the numbers right here. We're actually with Garland, today we're at 15,638 population, which is about
1.8.
744 per citizen, give or take.
Didn't you say you'd like to be down under 700?
Yeah, when we met on a staffing issue, we did a study around Box Elder County, and the average was 1 per 650.
How much did you say with your total area is what? 16,5?
No, 15,638 with Garland and Tremont. Yeah,
Okay, and then I'm going to divide that by
21.
21.
That's what the 787 is.
How much of it is Garland?
Garland has
Is
four.
that Of the 250, is that Garland's already paid into that, or is that part of theirs?
Yeah, Garland is at 2668, and they have 4 officers right now. The way the MOU was written is for every, how many allocations we do, they have to do one?
So it's not in, I can't find it in the MOU.
Okay.
The understanding was, I believe it was every 3 allocations, they would provide one after we did, so.
Yeah.
That's what I was told, but I can't find it in writing.
Yeah, I would say that they're probably due to add an allocation, especially with that new development as well. While staffing is important, it's not the most pressing issue. It's funny because Bill and Lindsay send me out this planning sheet, and I think it's great that we're thinking ahead and we're planning appropriately for these things. And I had this idea of what was most important. It just changed. My most important objective is to retain what we have, because we can go through the numbers and say, well, we really should have more officers right now, but if we can't retain what we have, then allocations are not my top priority, because we can't provide that basic 24/7 coverage without keeping what we have. But yeah, we're a little behind right now. I think, as I said, 650 was the goal. I feel comfortable going a little bit higher than that, into the 700 range.
What does that 700 range equate to in terms of FTEs?
Yeah, we were looking at that, so it'd be roughly 2 allocations, and we could cover that with both Tremont and Garland. So that's another conversation we're preparing to have with Garland. I think to be real healthy, we'd shoot for 3, but I think 2 would get us there.
So by 2030, if we have growth in what we're predicting, where would you like to be with your total police force?
Yeah, I would love to give you the perfect answer. I'll share what we came up with the city planner. It mostly depends on our growth as far as like our population. So this is just counting these developments. So in the 5-10 year range, you'll see all the developments we have coming in. We're going to be on track to be behind at 766 within 2 years. So if we plan further out, we're just getting further behind. But it's more like what, and I don't know if the city has this, I would love to see the numbers, if we have an average growth per year, over year, to see what that looks like. But I know you guys are planning some great things, like, a possible sports park. I imagine that's going to attract more people here as well, and it may kick up that timeline. So I'd say 2 or 3 based on these numbers, but this is not a full picture. It's just our best
I
guess.
encourage as part of your SMART goals to include something in there along that line so that we know it by 2030, we'd like to have an additional 3 officers.
Sure.
We can start to plan for that. You know.
Yeah, and I actually went back with Lindsay today. I was looking for her in the room. There she is. And we amended that. We added it to our projections, but it's hard to project the population with a certainty because there's so many factors that play into that. But
Yeah, but you could use a figure like,
yeah,
as 1 per 766 or whatever that figure is. And then if we don't grow that much, then you don't need it as soon. And so
sure,
with
absolutely.
that kind of figure, it's pretty easy to stay on top of it as it happens.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion.
Another thing that I got thinking about today, police vehicles. I know I've mentioned sharing before that can help reduce your costs, $50,000 to $100,000 a year. So it's something to look into. I know it is a fringe benefit to have police officers have their own vehicles. I think that also needs to be included in when we're telling them of their benefits. This is one of those great benefits that you get, and they need to know that that's.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great benefit. The other part is actually a safety aspect. So if we have an incident, one thing we like to do is contain that incident, and we'll actually use those cars as barriers. So it wouldn't be super practical to put 2 per car unless we had a huge fleet. Like LAPD does that, but they also have, a city of officers where they can accommodate that. On that barricaded guy with a gun, we definitely utilize police vehicles just to keep innocent people from coming into the scene. But yeah, one thing we
Throw
want
the
to
idea out there for you.
No, it's a great idea. And actually Skylar's kind of our fleet guru, and he's actually looking at options as far as like resale, pushing things out, buying better quality vehicles, things to reduce cost. We're looking at every possible option.
Okay. One thing that when I was looking at that report, I think with our goals and where we're headed in the future, I'd like to see us do that shift from salaries most important to more of a cultural thing. Salary should be about 3rd on the list. And so it would be nice, I'm a little concerned that salary is the most important thing on their mind. I'd like to see other things become more important,
Yeah, I would love that too, Brett. I mean, it boils down to supply and demand. And unfortunately, there's a lack of supply and a high demand. And that's how a lot of these agencies are stealing people, is with that salary. And I think you can get a lot of love and loyalty with your team if you lead them right. But when it comes to like life-changing money, and when it's in that, $10 difference range, you're going to lose people, even some of the best, most loyal people, because at the end of the day, they're always going to prioritize family. And I think Bo kind of talked a little bit about that with running his former business, and he shared a story. And I hear you. That's how it was when I started. I mean, I remember being one of 300 people for the same job and being lucky enough to get that opportunity. And everybody in there was, we were making like 16, 17 bucks an hour. We were happy and thankful. It's just a different environment. And we take good care of them as far as morale and creating a family-like environment, but
Is the sheriff's department sort of the, where are we seeing attrition going to? Is it going to the sheriff's department? Is it going to
no,
Brigham City? Is
no,
it-
I don't want it to go there. That's why we're having the
Well, I
conversation.
understand that, but
Yeah.
is that sort of where it's happening, or?
That's where
Historically?
if I was to project what will likely happen, it would be them. I mean,
Historically, we haven't really had it unless it was life events. Right?
that's fair. Maybe the first year I started and we had some morale problems and a lot of problems. We did lose some. We lost some to North Park, areas like that offering, and they would actually solicit our guys, which is a compliment, but it also sucks where they were calling them and saying, "Hey, come over, we'll pay you this much more," and we lost some to that. The sheriff's office has openings. I'm told Brigham's about to have some more openings. It's just the way the game is right now, and our goal is to not be in that situation. I'd like to keep us healthy And part of that is just staying within the realm. Like I said, our guys are really loyal. That one survey, when they're like, hey, I'm not going to leave, I believe in you, I believe in the city, that's huge. And you guys empowered us to be in that situation. I just want to keep us in that situation as long as possible, rather than run behind and try to play catch up. So,
And the only other thing I would bring up, I'm sorry, Lyle, the only other thing I'd bring up this time is we're talking police officers, but we need to talk about the entire staff of Tremont City. And so I would really encourage our department heads to make sure that their salaries are where they need to be. And we just need to start taking care of the city as a whole. And so we've got some, other employees that I'm sure are on the short end of the scale as well. So I'd like us to look into that.
yeah, and I'm not an expert in other departments. My job obviously is to advocate for my team and tell you what we need to continue to, be successful as a department. I can't comment to other departments and what they do with that.
Right.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Just
Go ahead, Lyle.
just trying to get a feel for what's going on.
Sure.
When our police go out, usually probably any time during the day, how many times does this county have to come and back us up, or are we always backing up the county? How does that work?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I would say it's pretty mutual right now. When we first started, if anything, they were bailing us out because we were behind on our staffing. Now that we're more healthy with 3 officers on, if they need support, they can request that. We have a great relationship with them. I would say it's nice to be in a position that if we had a catastrophic emergency right now, I could call the sheriff and we could get 10 more deputies in here getting overtime pay to help us. And we try to return that. So with them, I'd say it's very equal and it's a mutually beneficial relationship. But yeah, I don't think anybody's being taken advantage of. I think it's pretty fair. Go ahead.
If I can comment on that,
Sure.
that's one thing that I was reading up on was cities that have good support from the sheriff's department and other entities close to them, it makes it so that you don't have to have as many officers because you can rely on each other. So I think it's awesome that we do have that support from
Yeah.
the sheriff's
Yeah,
department.
I agree, especially during a major incident. It's paramount to have that. But yeah, that's a great thing. I mean, we wouldn't have a SWAT team, we wouldn't have that emergency support if it wasn't for them. So yeah, that's a great point.
I mean, that's why I asked the question to begin with is, if we were backing up all the time, and we were getting taken advantage of and that type of stuff, obviously, they don't have enough, police out there to do what they need to do if we have to back them up. And actually, they're the ones who are creating this problem by paying what they're paying.
Sure.
And so you're telling me that we're square with them and
Yeah, we're great with them, and I'll tell you, Lyle, when I first came out here, coming from an organization that had combined resources, that's the first thing I asked. I asked the chief of Brigham, I asked the sheriff, and I was like, what would it look like if we explored having a mutual department where we all come together, we share resources, and we divide the costs amongst each other? There's no appetite for that in our county. I know it's been successful in other areas, it's failed in other areas. Unify did it with multiple cities. They've since lost probably 4 or 5 cities that went off to create their own department again. Huge amounts of money lost in that. It's very difficult, and I could speak from experience with this, managing and navigating 2 cities with different goals sometimes. The councils, you got 2 sets of councils now, imagine, 5, and they have completely different mindsets and things they want to see. It's a great thing on paper, but in application, I really haven't seen it work in Utah, but it does work in other areas of the state. But at the end of the day, if the other cities, like if Brigham's not going to go for it, they're out, and we would need them to do something like that. Same with the sheriff's office. But yeah, fiscally, it makes a lot of sense, and it would stabilize the police market. But there's something to be said about also having cops vested in your community that know your community and they're a part of your community. So, but yeah, we've explored that.
I got just one more point.
sure.
So, I'm listening to this and we were having problems. We increased our taxes. We hired more police that we needed. we didn't have to ask the sheriff's department to come in and back us up like we were doing, and all that, kind of got corrected on the last tax increase that was requested.
Sure.
So the reason why I asked the question up front is what's the turnover like now? And we've lost one person, and we didn't lose them because of price. I don't want to be labeled as the police hater also, because
Sure.
I think you guys are doing awesome.
Yeah.
But it's just another view at it that over the last year, we haven't lost anybody.
Yeah, no, and that's, which is true, and that's the game.
Think about.
Yeah, and that's the gamble I wouldn't advise you as your chief to take, because what that would look like is, let's just say we don't, right? And then other cities start getting $3-4 an hour ahead, and as they have open, they're going to go to the officer that's trained, has a good reputation from a department with a good reputation. And as we lose those allocations, now we have to fill 3 or 4 people instead of just making the adjustment. Now, every one of those allocations is going to cost us $130,000 up front if we can find someone, and then we have to train them for a 2-year period. So if the math doesn't math in our favor if we do that, I know it's a lot and it's a big ask, and believe me, last thing I want to do is ask you guys for any more support, because you've been so supportive. But if it wasn't at the level of importance I felt it was, I wouldn't be standing in front of you today. So I guess I would ask for some trust from the council. I won't ever mislead you. I won't ever lie to you. At the end of the day, you get to make that decision. I don't think that's a good game to play. I think we'll lose on that, and we'll put ourselves in a bad situation.
And I get a little concerned, we would never think you would lie to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I appreciate
the trust
that.
is there, so I hope
I got a question.
Yeah.
Listen,
it's
what-
there.
Go ahead, Blair.
Is it all, I mean, I'm just looking at the wages, are we all, at every level, do we need to focus, or do you focus on,
Yeah, so
you only
the
got so much, do you focus on the
ground up.
officer 3s, 1s, 2s, and 3s?
Sure, yeah. I would say you focus on the ground up, that the foundation of our organization is our officers, and we want to take care of them from the bottom up. If you got to sacrifice stuff, you take it from the top. Now, with that said, our sergeants are pretty paramount. They protect us from a ton of liability. They're the ones responsible to make sure our new officers are doing the right thing and that we're not making bad decisions that could be really expensive. But yeah, that's a great question, and we've talked about that, and myself and the lieutenant, we want to prioritize our cops first. So,
The sergeants, if you went with what you suggested, it's a huge raise. I mean, that's a huge jump.
yeah, absolutely. And I'll be honest, they're worth it. We've had some incidents that came up, and they could be huge liabilities that they've intervened on and protected us from. And the $250 you're looking at would be nothing compared to what we could pay out in one bad lawsuit. I mean, there's one, I'm sure you've seen it on the news with Salt Lake City right now. I don't even want to imagine what they're going to pay out on their case. And that's where your first line supervisors, they're our biggest defense against that, so.
Mo, do you have any questions?
I don't.
Wes?
Just thank you.
I'm good. I've talked to him.
Yeah, and of course, my door's always open if you guys have questions, suggestions, ideas. This is something we're in this together. I just want us all to have the same, positive results. And again, I'm asking because it's pretty imperative that we stay on top of it. I just don't want to lose what we have. We've made great progress. I want to keep making progress, but we do need support to do that. And if you have any questions, you have my number, you have my contact, and you know where I work every day, so just let me know. I will be happy to answer any questions.
Well, we do appreciate everything you do, and we appreciate the department and the proactiveness and being out there, day in and day out. We hear of different things that you're proactively going after this person or that issue, and we appreciate that a lot. It is a big difference. I think it's paying great dividends for our community, so.
Yeah, thank you. I will share that with the troops, but yeah, and I'll leave it at that unless anybody has any other questions. Cool, thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you. All right. We've got a few minutes here. Brett, did you have anything you wanted to share, anything
No,
else? We're
did
going to
you-
talk about that in a little bit.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, just, we're on the strategies, you're gonna meet with your department heads and kind of button up the last parts of them, and then, Bo and I are gonna decide on a Thursday night when we're available, and we're gonna put together a town hall and go over the strategies with, whoever wants to come and discuss them with us.
It's a great idea.
Wes, do you have anything?
I don't. Still fighting my computer a little.
Still having issues over there?
Still got issues.
Lyle, do you have anything else?
I don't.
Blair? Oh,
No.
well, why don't we we'll take a good break then. If we've got 3 items on our agenda, the 3 annexations that are coming up. So I think we'll have, Jeff, if you can be available to help us out with that. And we'll go ahead. and-
We've never had a 15-minute break
We've
before.
never had a 15-minute break before, so I don't know what to do with
It's
it.
because I'm retired, right? Woo-hoo.
You are now, huh?
Okay, we'll go ahead and take a 15-minute break, and we'll start at 7 o'clock sharp.
Started Monday. I've been retired for 16 hours, and look at me go.
Good.
Wait for a minute, and then we'll try to get started.
Here he comes.
There you are. There you are. We'd like to welcome everybody to our city council policy session. We're grateful that you're all here. We're especially grateful for you students that you're here with us today. We get to spend some time with you. We'll go ahead and go right into our program. I've asked Councilmember Vance if he'd lead us in a lead us in a prayer. And after that, we're going to have Jackson McCulloch. He's a student, and he's going to come up and he's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And he might need a little assistance from his mom. We'll see. Lyle?
Our Father in heaven, we come before thee at the opening of our city council meeting and are grateful for our many blessings. Grateful that we can live in this community amongst the people that we live amongst. And we're grateful for the freedom that we have to be able to meet and make choices and betterments for the community that we live in. We ask that thy Spirit be with us here tonight, that we might be able to listen to all sides of each issue and be able to make prudent decisions for our area. We are grateful for those who work here at the city, for their time and for their efforts put forth, for our citizens, for the police and the fire department, and all those who put their life on the line for our sakes. We're grateful unto thee for all thy many blessings to live in this area, and we ask these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
You come up here to the front, Jackson, and you can just face the flag right here. Okay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jackson. Very well done. Since we have a lot of new people here, I thought I'd go around and kind of introduce the council to you so you know who we are. Over here to my left, sitting down over here, we have our city manager, Bill Kobabe. And then up here on the dais, we've got Bo Lewis, Blair Westergaard, Lyle Vance, and then me. Brett Rohde and Wes Seastep are your city council members. And over here to my right, we have Cynthia Nelson, who is our recorder, and Lindsay Nessen, who is our assistant city manager. And with that, we're, council, on the agenda, I'm wondering if we can move one item. I wonder if we can move item number 3 down after item number 7. If that would be okay with you, I would appreciate it. Other than that, let's see, a declaration of conflicts of interest. Council, anything there? Approval of the agenda, and that's where I'm wondering if we can move item number 3 down past.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as written, except for changing, as the mayor has said, 3 for the position of 7. Or put it after 7, is that
Put
what
it
you want?
after 7.
Put 3 after 7.
Yep.
Okay, we got a motion, a second?
I second.
A second by Blair. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, let's see, approval of the minutes for February 18th of 2025. Any questions of the minutes?
Nope, I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
A motion by Wes and
I'll second the
seconded
motion.
by Bo. Let's see, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Now we come to our favorite part right now. So, 2 or 3 years ago, we had one of our council members along with Councilmember Eastep, come up with the idea of giving out citizenship awards to our students for everything that they do. This has turned into one of our favorite things that we do once a month during the school year. And with that, we'll go ahead and we'll call you up. We'll have you come up to the front here, and then if you'll have the students stay up here until we can get your picture taken. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started.
Principals invited.
What's that?
Principals invited to the front.
Principal Balls and Principal Green, if you can come up, that would be great. Help us send out the. Okay.
Even if you have a yellow tie on, it's okay. Is it okay? Yeah. Good looking tie, though.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so I'm going to call your name out and have you come up. Let's see. Gemma Tesh. Emmett Allen. Haley Court. Boston Neville. We'll make sure Boston. Okay. Glenn Gilmore. Kendra Perez. Haley Sander. Ken Carlos Diaz Romero. And Jackson McCulloch. Hinkley Whatcott. Did I pronounce that right? Grayson Nelson. Anakin Matson. Waverly Taylor. Sylvia Seedall.
Mayor, we've had one slip through the cracks. Did we get everybody that we're supposed to?
No.
Who did we miss? Miles Archibald. Okay, so will you make a note of that and make sure? Miles Archibald.
You here?
I'll make sure you get your certificate, okay? Are there any others that we missed? Okay, we'll get a picture then.
And we'll give you all the time you need to take pictures. As long as them kids keep smiling.
So I can see it.
I didn't think you had any free time.
Hey, Jeff. Jeff.
$1,000 an hour.
I spend a lot.
Hey, if we can have everybody sit, take your seats again.
Oh, hang on!
Hold on. Hold on a second, everybody. Take your seats. We got a little job for the,
What?
Just come here for a second,
just come back for a second.
if you can.
I should have done this first.
We won't make you stay for the whole meeting.
Man, what are we doing?
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I should have probably done this at the first before we started, but anyway, here a while back, Councilmember Vance and I had an opportunity to go down to Salt Lake City and to the University of Utah, and we were able to listen to a presentation by a man. His name is Timothy Shriver, and he is the nephew of President John F. Kennedy from way back when I was about your age. He was president of the United States. And, he talked a little bit about something called dignity and dignity index. And so what I thought is tonight, because you guys, you students are, you students and parents are here because your teachers and your principals have recognized you for your citizenship, the respect that you demonstrate to your classmates and to your families and to your teachers, responsibility and being safe in school. These are things that you guys are doing, and that's what you're being recognized for tonight. This is quite an achievement. And all of us, everybody here, we all need to strive for these qualities every single day. So you guys are great examples. You're the positive examples to your friends, to your classmates, to your teachers and your families. This is quite a big thing, and you need to be recognized for this. You guys are a shining example for our community, and I want to thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing such a great job, and for your schools for helping us out with this program. It's so good. So, with that, in short, by treating others with dignity and respect, you help make your school and our community a better place for everybody. You guys are examples and you're doing your job. But now I have some homework for you, and you never thought you'd hear that from me, did you? So I'm going to ask you if you'll continue treating your brothers, your sisters, your parents, your teachers, and your classmates with respect, okay? You keep doing this and make a habit out of it. The second assignment is that you listen to your parents, your brothers and your sisters, and your teachers. And I'm going to ask you to do this without being asked more than once, okay? And the final thing I'm going to ask you to do is find a way to do something nice for someone, maybe somebody that you don't know very well. It's easy to be nice to your friends. Maybe not as easy to be nice to somebody that you don't know as well. So I'm going to ask you to do that, and I'm going to ask you to do it without being asked, okay? Can you do all of that?
I see a lot of heads nodding, Mayor. They're
Okay. I think, we're going to talk about this dignity index a little bit further here, but you guys are the examples of it tonight. You guys have done a super job, and we want to recognize you for being such great people and being such great citizens and making our community a little bit better. Thank you. Okay, now, if you would like to stay, that's fine. If you'd like to go home, you could go now. Thank you, everybody.
Her niceness comes from her mom. Yeah.
Jeff's wife and kids.
Yeah, that's Monica. She's my nephew.
Come up here. He wants to say a few words to you. What?
Great job. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Is that really what you want to say? Yeah.
What's that?
You're adored.
Okay.
Really empty then, you're in there.
Okay.
No.
No, the Argyle one is a no. The Argyle's a no.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on with our council meeting tonight. We're going to go to the Dignity Index, and what I want to start off with is a little video that that I ran across. I think it's about a 3-minute video, and I think it's worth taking a little time to watch.
Keep getting awards.
Careless, reckless.
Radical leftist.
Another tax break.
This month, the national movement to encourage voters and politicos to reject contempt and reward dignity launched a pilot project here in Utah.
The project is simply called the Dignity Index.
The first ever Dignity Index was released today, scoring the messages from Utah's political candidates.
Based on the research of specialists in conflict resolution, the Social Impact Initiative Unite designed a 1 to 8 scale to measure speech for dignity or contempt. The lower the number, the more contemptuous and divisive the language.
What we've found is that people are starving for a break from the contempt and hatred and divisiveness. And let's also be clear, the stakes here are high.
We have divisions that are not caused by disagreement. They're not caused because we think differently. They're caused because we have contempt.
Contempt actually kills curiosity.
Contempt takes away our ability to talk to each other, which takes away our ability to solve problems together, which can take away our ability to hold our democracy together.
This is not a score of how nice people are necessarily. That's right. This is not about speech police. This is not about kumbaya group hugs. This is about how we speak in terms of elevating the conversation to something a little bit different.
There's really important efforts to change hearts and minds and have public discussions. But what I like about this is it focuses on behaviors, and behaviors are changeable. To change behavior, you have to be able to define the behavior, and then you have to measure the behavior.
And so we've trained a group of ideologically diverse coders, liberals and conservatives, working together.
Looking at campaign letters, debate transcripts, speeches, social media accounts, and trying to quantify, is this speech dignified or not?
Hi, my name is Stephen Lindhoff.
Ira Dacunda Esperanza, Madeline Jones, Susie Estrada, and I am a student at the University of Utah.
In the training, what was really heartening to see is that we could get a lot of agreement across this broad ideological spectrum.
The great thing about it is everyone can understand it because it's really just about how we treat each other. My thoughts about political dialogue have changed through this experience, internalizing that dialogue as a tool.
If you could just read the index, it makes you think about, well, what's a more inclusive way to say this and a more inclusive way to say that.
And I think one of the most important parts of the Dignity Index is not what it's telling us about our politicians, it's about what it will tell us about ourselves. It's funny that we designed something as a grading tool, but what it's turned out to be most powerful as is a mirror. This changed the way I've had conversations with my children, with my neighbor, with my colleagues at work.
The Dignity Index changed me. And yes, you can challenge the scoring, but that inspires a conversation.
Any problem of the whole is going to require the whole. We're trying to not just open the door to civility and dignity, but open the door to the freedom to express oneself so that we can actually integrate the best of each other.
Think if we had a Congress that could talk to each other, that could actually solve problems. And part of the Dignity Index goal is to develop these types of relationships in disagreement to where we can solve problems. When we learn how to communicate in our entire community, we're better off.
We're talking about a practical strategy for actually moving the country forward.
Those that don't know the Dignity Index should definitely explore it and get to know what it is.
The Dignity Index is our attempt to to introduce to families, to businesses, and to politics a new way of solving problems by not treating others with hatred and contempt, but rather by treating others with dignity.
Thank you. And now, if I might have a council member. I'm not going to catch him off guard just a little bit here, but he was one of the. We went down to listen to Dr. Shriver here. It's been a couple of years now, and maybe if you can just kind of maybe talk a little bit about that just for a second. I know it's catching you.
Hit me that one. It's the way you did the prayer. So this is pretty impressive stuff. In fact, we went down. They were at our Utah City of Leagues is where we actually met them, and this guy stood up there for a good 2 hours and talked about this, and it was very eye-opening. And there is a lot of contempt in all the different levels of conversation to go on, and I wished I had time to think about this because it's really important stuff. How to word myself, but pretty much it's if you don't agree with somebody, you blame them, then you shame them is what you do, and that's exactly the way it works here. You know, again in our community and. It doesn't matter if we're talking with our neighbors or here at the city council or wherever we're at in church and that type of stuff. Dignity has left the house on this stuff. And so respecting another person's opinion and understanding, listening to the other side with a true heart, you know, and try to understand the other side. I think most of the time we've already have condemned the person. They're the devil and we're like I said, you name them, then you shame them, and you blame them is what happens, and that's kind of what they taught. Anyway, it's I wish it's something that all of us could listen to, because after we listened to it down there at the Utah City of Leagues, we fought to go back down and listen to it again, as Lyle was talking about, down at the city council, and we tried to get him to come up, but he's way too much in demand. But this is if everybody could hear it, it changes your attitude about how we converse with each other.
And aren't we all guilty of it?
Thank you. So, kind of independent of what we were talking about, what we experienced, Brett kind of came up with this also, sort of independently. And I thought maybe, Brett, if you could take just a minute. And then what we're going to do is we're going to show you the index and talk a little bit about it when Brett kind of finishes up.
Okay, well, Bo and I met with some citizens, and we talked about this dignity index, and we made a commitment, and I think we're committed on this bench that we're going to treat everyone with dignity. And when they come up and talk on the mics, we all need to listen and show them the respect that they deserve and the attention. Even though sometimes we can't answer them, we still need to be dignified in the way that we act up here. And we ask the same thing of our people coming up and talking with us and giving comments and sitting in the audience, treat us with the same dignity that we'll treat them. I think if we can do that, we can accomplish some great things together. And like they said in there, we can solve problems together. So with that, there's an index. It's from 1 to 8. And what we have done is we're going to set a strategic goal and work on this dignity index within our city over the next while. And our goal by 2030 will be to hit a 7.5 on this index. That may be a little lofty, but what we'll do is we'll get, Bo can show you 7.5.
Spot on.
We'll have annual surveys that kind of measure and see how we're doing, and hopefully we can work together with the public and the public with us, and we can drive for this kind of respect for each other.
So if we look at the index a little bit, and I know it's going to be kind of really hard to read, so I'm just going to, and I'm not saying anybody anywhere around here is anything near this. The only example I can see is that maybe the stories that we hear from World War II and how the Holocaust and all of that kind of thing, and these people aren't even human. It's our moral duty to destroy them. That's number one down there at the very bottom.
Well, you see that in some of our national politics too.
Yeah, and they aren't even, they're not even human, and it's our moral duty to destroy them before they destroy us. And we hear that even today with some of the things that are going on. And it steps up from there, and number 5, it says the other side has a right to be here and a right to be heard. It's their country too. That's number 5. And then if we go up to number 7 and number 8, which are sort of our goals for the community, we fully engage with the other side, discussing even the values. Boy, okay, sorry. We engage with the other side, discussing even the values and interests we don't share, so we know where they're coming from. And then number 8 is the highest level. Each one of us is born with an inherent worth, so we treat everyone with dignity, no matter what. And that's sort of the little challenge I gave to the students, is that we treat others nicely. In that case with the students, but we as adults, we treat each other with dignity. So with that, I don't know, council, do you have any other comments? Bo, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I just think this is a good reminder for all of us, including us up here, to, like he said in the video, it's a good way to look in the mirror. And as I read through that, I have to question my own thoughts and intent, and I'm guilty of it. I think we all are. So it's a great reminder to unify ourselves and listen. And I think some of the best ideas are going to come from people that disagree with us, and when I say us, I mean each one of us individually. I think a lot of times I've heard people say the council said, and not knowing that we disagree on different things too, quite a bit actually, and that's okay. And I think that's how the best ideas survive. So,
Blair?
Good.
Wes?
No, it's a great deal. I mean, I caught him down in St. George too, and I've got that printed. So I try. I'm trying. I didn't start real high, but I'm getting up there.
Well, we cannot, and I'm the first to admit that I'm at fault too, and we all make mistakes, and we all have, strong feelings one way or the other. All we're asking for, what we're asking for is that we don't need to agree. We don't need to agree on things. That's not what we're asking for. But what we are asking for is that we can discuss and we can treat each other with respect and dignity, and that's kind of the point here. So, all right. With that, let's move on with our agenda. Okay. Public comments. This is an opportunity for you to address the city council regarding your concerns or ideas. This is a kind of a one-way discussion. A lot of times, sometimes we might make some comments, but a lot of times we reserve to make comments. This is just your opportunity to talk to us. We ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and the time is now yours.
Sorry.
Oh,
That's all I need to do is stop again.
oh, please, oh, yeah.
We'll catch ya. I don't want to fall again. I just wanted to say that I think that was really good what you shared with the children, and you ought to do that every month.
Thank you. Yeah, that's, I agree with that.
It's gotta be the medication.
We gotta figure out a better word than homework though, Mayor. Homework and
That's not what they
we'll
want.
come up with something a little more politically correct than homework, because at that age, you don't want any.
Okay.
No, they need a reminder from somebody besides their parents.
But I mean, we won't make it as an assignment like you did at the homework, do it with we'll come up with a little clever word.
All right. Duly noted.
Means.
All right, public comment period is closed. New council business, discussion and possible action on accepting the LB Land Holdings annexation petition for further consideration under Utah State annexation law. The annexation petition consists of 200.78 acres of real property located in Box Elder County along 6800 west from 10,200 north to 9,600 north. Jeff?
Yeah, apologies for not putting a staff report together for this. It dawned on me a few minutes ago. So over the past almost year, we've been working with existing residents out there to bring this annexation together. We've worked with them on meeting some of the needs the existing residents have. This boundary was really created due to some master planning for utilities and infrastructure out there so that it's economical from the city's perspective as this portion grows. The idea working with LB Land Holdings is that that central parcel where it says annexation parcel and the one to the northeast of it will be under development. Other northeast, Cynthia. There we go. And so with the development out there, we've been able to expand this to put utilities and primarily a lift station where in an economical spot near 9600 North, which will be the backbone to serve both the east and west sides of Iowa String, south of Rocket Road.
And that's down by the church, right?
Yes, almost to the church. There's a house right north of the church, and so the lift station will just have to be on the north side of that house.
How big what do the lift stations look like? Are they big?
They're underground for the most part.
Really?
And so normally where this one, we're looking at having room for it to possibly expand to have 2 underground manholes to fill out of. The site will probably be a little bit bigger than normal, but most of the time you can design a lift station on about a 50 by 50
Sewer kind of like this and it pumps it
square.
that way.
If we got that land.
We'll work, once the annexation's approved, the landowners have already, they know that we will be working with them to get that land from them, but until it was actually in the city boundaries, we didn't have a lot of right to move forward, but that's something that we've made aware of and we'll work with them on getting.
Is there a potential annexation with those landowners?
But yeah, they're part of this.
Okay.
They're the Anderson farms there, and their stipulation to being annexed was that we would master plan that. We would be putting the lift station in there, which creates the serviceability for their acreage if their family trust ever chooses to.
One thought on that, watch your lift station and the retention ponds to keep some distance, just a thought.
Yeah, so
I thought.
Currently they'll have quite a bit of separation because the retention pond will be up on the LB Land Holdings property, while the lift station will be down on the Anderson Farms.
Does this annexation take in that whole triangle, or is it like the LB Farms to the northeast?
We already annexed that in last year.
The one that says North Street, right?
Which one says North?
At the top?
Oh, yeah, so the Freeman Farms, that's part of this annexation.
And then how about to the right of that?
That was already annexed.
Oh, okay.
So where's the canal?
Oh,
The
I see where
west
the
side of
canal is now.
The west side of Iowa String.
The west side, but on the north end of it.
Still on the west side?
Oh, you
Well,
got,
I think it's on the
On
right
the
side of the
left
railroad
side.
tracks.
yeah, it's on the right side of the railroad tracks.
Well, there's a canal over there too, but there's one that goes between the railroad tracks over to that one that goes down Iowa String. I'm just trying to figure out where that section is going to the west.
Oh, that is just across the street from the cement plant, from LeGrand
no
Johnson's
kidding.
plant. It's
Okay.
enough out of you.
I was trying to figure out where that was even at on there.
For everybody's benefit, maybe can you just kind of point out generally where the church is so we can, maybe some people.
Sure, it's right in the bar where Ask AI Assistant is. So right at the bottom corner. Hearts, don't move, I'll just point. The church, it would be right here or on your screens. Hi, Bill.
Hey.
Right here.
Okay, just so people can
South
get the
side of
bearings
that
on
road,
it.
yeah.
so it's that whole piece
It's
from the
So
freeway
everything,
all the way.
No.
so everything now from the current,
Further south in the freeway.
No, but I mean, the south of the freeway.
yeah. So everything from where the current city boundary is, out south of the freeway down to 9600 north, at least for the majority of the east side. The one piece in the middle that is it Laron? Laron's piece, that is actually a small portion of a bigger parcel. So it's his parcels on both sides of the railroad tracks. And where it's not under consideration for development, the railroad tracks right now is the annexation boundary between us and Elwood, and we just didn't see a need to knock on that door.
Oh, so it's not going east of the tracks to Lindsay's Road.
No. But we have heard desire, there's a one parcel subdivision out there called the Sasquatch subdivision, and we've looked at annexing that in. On purpose.
I know where that's at.
Purpose.
So you're
It's just
saying
an island.
that piece is not in it, that one?
That piece right there where the cursor is not a part of it. Just because it's a smaller portion of a bigger parcel that's on the other side. It's all one parcel.
So the upper ones, the ones that's been in the county, they're all gonna be in it?
Yes.
And the subdivision there where the
Yes.
Brigham City's police chief lives in there?
Correct.
That'll all be part of it
And
as
that one
well.
that you're going around right now, the little sliver to the left,
That's not that's just the ag land that is surrounds it.
oh, okay.
Mayor, if I may, I wanted to point out to the council that Jeff has been instrumental in making sure that the property owners in Freeman Farms and in the area have had an opportunity to come and talk to staff and get their questions answered in as much as those questions can be answered at this stage of the game. It's very early on, so a lot of the question marks that they have with regard to sewer, with water infrastructure, and with drainage in and around the area haven't been answered yet because it's not that stage of the development. But just wanted to point out that Jeff has done a really good job at making sure that they felt informed and connected and that they had access to staff for questions and concerns. And so hopefully we've arrived at a good point where they all feel at least like they've had an opportunity to be upset about it.
Has anybody slammed the door in you and says, no, I don't want to be part of Tremont?
Yeah, have there been
I moved here
concerns?
because I wanted to be in the county.
Oh, sure, that was all of them.
Isn't this
At the beginning.
30%? 30% want it?
So, yeah, to meet state code, we had to get at least 1/3 of the valuation to support this annexation, and so that's what Bill's referencing, is working with them to get the signatures and the support from honestly, it's half of the Freeman Farms development have ended up signing petitions as we worked with them and answered questions. Brody's been very generous and helpful in supplying some of the question or some of the answers And so we've arrived at the point now that the annexation can be processed and meet state code, to my understanding. And that's a big caveat. It's a very weird chapter of the state code if anyone wants to go read it for fun.
So what's confusing to me is on that picture there, and it's even in black, there's that little sliver of the Harris, whatever,
Harris Enterprises.
Yeah, and that is not part, or it is?
Part of it.
Okay.
So anything with that darker gray.
Right, I just asked you earlier and you said, no, that's part of the green, and,
He just meant the corner and that.
Just that corner right there.
okay. But that, okay, perfect.
Yeah, one of
Okay.
them.
I had the opportunity of attending one of the public meetings that Jeff put on, and I want to second what Bill said. I think he did a great job of answering questions at that time. I know there's been a lot of questions that have been brought forth, and he spent upwards of a year working on this. So, Council, do you have any other questions regarding this?
Just for clarification, this is to accept the petition and that will trigger the public notice period. And then here in 3 weeks? A month, so we'll go through, anyway, then the annexation will be approved. So right now, you're just accepting the paperwork shorthanded.
I'll go back down to the map for just a second. Show us, again, help us with our bearings on the lift station.
So don't use CAD words. Right there, Cynthia, very good job.
All right. Okay. That's where I thought it was, but I wanted to make sure.
So there's just a house that is right at that corner, and so we'll look at putting the lift station just north of that house.
All right. All right, Council, we have possible action on the annexation petition. It's in your court.
Well, I make a motion that we approve this annexation petition so that we can further study it and listen to public comment in the future.
Okay, motion by Brett
Second.
and seconded by Bo. Let's see, let's start with you, Bo.
Yes.
Blair?
Yeah, Blair, yes.
Lyle Vance, yes.
Brett, yes.
Wes, yes.
Motion passes. Thanks, everybody. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Discussion and possible action on accepting the Jeff Lewandowski annexation petition for further consideration under Utah State annexation law. The annexation petition consists of 37.09 acres of real property located in Box Elder County at approximately 6,900 west and 9,600 north. Okay, Jeff?
So the county recently changed guidelines that any single lot development within our annexation boundary does not need to come here. So because this has 2 lots, it got to come to the council for review. This is, so 9600 north is the road right there. So the lift station that we just spoke of will be off to the right side of the page. It's about half a mile to these lots, and where there's only 2 of them that are proposed, it would be my recommendation to deny this annexation just because of the exceedingly large infrastructure cost to connect 2 lots to the city.
They would be on septic.
Yeah, I would recommend that they just be able to develop into the county under their standards and work with the health department in that jurisdiction. It just doesn't really pencil to have 2 lots to have to carry half a mile worth of public infrastructure.
And the rest of that around that's out of our annexation, right?
No, it's part of our, that's not part of
that-
our,
that part
that's
is-
not part of the LB one, so.
Right, but I mean, it's still in our future.
It's in our future, and I think if they'd been proposing that all 37 acres were gonna go, then we'd be having a different discussion, but where it's 2 lots.
And I imagine once we get sewer out there, they'll probably want to hook up anyway, but.
Yeah,
They'd have to pump uphill if they wanted.
well,
The pump station will do that.
Well, if they, the hard part is this is downhill of the lift station, so you're looking
West
at.
of the, so they have to
West,
pop up to it
yeah.
to get it done.
So
That's why.
it'd be either really tight, depending on how the lift station's designed, but that's why it just, I would recommend not.
Jeff?
Yeah.
So it just throws me off when we say it consists of 37.09 acres. That sounds like the whole the whole
Yeah,
farm.
the verbiage.
It's not the whole farm.
Yeah, the
It's-
verbiage is wrong. It is just 3 acres.
The hard part is this is a chicken and egg thing because they can't record this as what they're doing without coming to us first.
Oh.
And so, but we're not looking at all 37 acres, we're looking at 2 lots. And so that's the conundrum of having to come to us because it's more than 1 lot.
It's basically the county, it's just a, formality for us to
Check the
come
box.
to you guys and, well, apply for it and then hope that you say no, so.
I'll make a motion that we deny the, let me try to figure out how to put it here, the annexation petition for further consideration. And it needs to be changed to consist of the 2 parcels, Lot 1 and Lot 2, located in Box Elder County at approximately 6900 west, 9600 north.
Good wording.
Have a motion with the changes that have been described.
The only question is, will that work?
I don't know.
Will it work to just separate out? Are we okay doing that?
Yes?
Yeah.
Then if Lindsay says we're good, I'll second
That
it.
check
Because
the
we're
box.
denying it, it doesn't matter, does it?
Denying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just denying it, and so it's irrelevant.
I second it.
Okay, motion by Lyle Vance and seconded by Blair. Let's see, Blair?
Yes.
Lyle Vance, aye.
Good eye.
West side.
Bo, yes.
All right, everybody, thank you. All right. Thanks, Jeff. Discussion and possible action on accepting Joshua and Cassidy Eagle annexation petition for further consideration under Utah State annexation law. The annexation petition consists of 14 acres of real property located in Box Elder County at approximately 10,900 north and 7,600 west. Okay, Jeff, here you go again.
Yeah, this parcel's located just south of the Miller travel stop, but the big divide is I-84, and they're looking at doing a simple house on this parcel. When speaking with them, they were open for annexation. They just could not afford, like most single residents, to afford getting utilities underneath I-84. So once the inland port brings it over, I think we'll end up having a discussion with annexing this parcel in the future. But at this time, with the resources they have available, I would recommend denying this petition as well.
That's how you feel about it?
Yeah, probably.
So when the inland port, this is just going to be all part of the, it'll be part of that annexation.
Yep.
I see.
And our plan with it is it's gonna be more like a barndominium style thing so that we can, in that process, we'll build it in hopes to turn it into like more of a business, not a home.
I see.
We'll live in it until we can afford a different house, and then we'll turn it into a business.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Council? I don't know if there's much more to, so, but as far as the inland port, that's all, you plan to make that a part of that? Because it's all neighboring property. Okay.
So just for me, it's on the west side of the freeway,
Yeah.
Yep.
and
So as you come over the overpass from McDonald's, you turn down the frontage road and it's just right around the bend.
oh, okay.
So as you're going around on the frontage road, as you go straight up and it bends down, head south, that's my property just in front of you. Is that where that?
Where we burnt that house down?
It's right next, yeah, yep. Yeah, so that's just across the road. That's my
Related
house.
to fire.
No, we
House.
meant to burn it down.
I know.
It was planned burn.
Okay.
Granddad's old house.
Public record.
Okay, council.
Okay, well, I make a motion that we deny the Joshua and Cassidy Eagle annexation.
I'll second it.
Motion by Brett, seconded by Lyle Vance. Let's see, Lyle, you're up.
Lyle Vance, aye.
Brett, yes.
Wes, yes.
Bo, yes.
Larry, yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. We have one other item on our agenda, policy agenda. Discussion and possible action on adopting ordinance number 25-03, amending the Tree Mountain City Land Use Code, Chapter 1.04, Land Use and Appeal Authorities. Jeff, you're on again.
Yeah. You didn't give me any time during the workshop, so I just decided to make the whole agenda about me.
Okay.
With the staff changes we've seen over the past year, it was brought to my attention that we could round out the members of the DRC and put into some regulations on who could be alternates so that we can have a full quorum based just on demand and people there. So the proposed changes would be that our alternate members are the Assistant City Manager, Lindsay, our Assistant Public Works Director, Carl, and the Fire Chief. And if any of the regular members listed above were absent, that they could take the place and be the voting member for that meeting. Those are the changes.
That's pretty simple. Council, have any questions for Jeff?
I'll make a motion, let me find the number.
2503.
Yeah.
Ordinance.
Make the motion, we approve ordinance 25-03.
Motion by Wes. Have a second? Seconded by Blair. Let's see.
Brett, yes.
Wes, yes.
Bo, yes.
Larry, yes.
Lyle Vance, yes.
Motion passes. All right. Well, that completes our new council business for this evening. Calendar items and any previous unfinished business. Let's kind of go over the calendar. We have, of course, we've got Pi Day coming up.
Don't forget that.
314, 3.14. And the idea behind that is to just bring your favorite pie to city council between the hours of 10 and 2, and we all just come in and enjoy pie that day. So
Is this a community activity or a city
staff.
employee activity?
Just anybody that wants to come, I think.
But if a member of the public were to maunder in, of course, we wouldn't turn them away.
Yeah.
Well, I was hoping that Christie would
Especially if they
bring a
brought pie.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, you're fine.
I'll bring you a pie.
What's your favorite pie?
Mine?
Yeah.
French cherry.
Ooh. Yeah, I do. You got all of our ears on that one, so.
Extra whipped cream.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I do.
Okay. Council meeting on the 18th, and the Bear River Shine Your Light celebration at the Hampton Inn on March 20th. Let's see,
And I'm not gonna be able to go if somebody else from the council wants to.
on the 20th? Yeah,
I
okay.
sent her a email saying that.
Yeah, we're hoping to be there, so. Council meeting on the 1st, and then we do not have council meeting on the 15th. We're in preparation for going down to the League of Cities and Towns meetings in St. George on the 16th to the 18th, and then council meeting on the 29th. We have, just remind the council if you can, when we have to have our preliminary
Budget.
budget prepared.
That's why we're thinking of doing that 5th Tuesday meeting in April where we won't have one mid-month and we're talking about budget. It's kind of crunch time. So the tentative budget has to be approved the first meeting in May. And then the final budget is approved the second meeting in June.
So that gives us
We don't have a lot.
1, 2, 3 council meetings to, that come up with a tentative budget.
So the plan is next meeting, the 18th, Curtis will be here and we'll be talking strictly capital projects and getting your priorities. And then.
The 18th?
I think the meeting on the first, we were gonna talk operational budget, and then if you had any other capital project questions that we could discuss.
Can we get a little bit of a jump on that? Maybe instead of the Friday before the meeting, if you've got something ready, I know, but even some pieces of the puzzle, so.
Is that what you're talking about, capital projects?
Mm-hmm.
Before the
Well,
meeting?
and the whole tentative budget too, maybe
Oh.
we can just have a link and we could look at what you're working on. You know, I don't know. It's up to you.
Lindsay, are you going to put it on that spreadsheet that you've used in prior years? Good.
You like, yes.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, that works really well, except me or Blair won't be here on the 18th. We'll be in St. George, but we'll zoom in.
We'll be able to call in.
Oh, you'll be able to call in.
No, March 18th.
That'll work.
Gotcha. Where you guys going?
That'll work.
St. George.
All right. Any other questions with the calendar?
So how are we doing with those capital analyses and like on the streets and that type of stuff? Is that coming into fruition?
Are you talking like the T-square?
Like, we were gonna ask to have the streets looked at to know what condition they're in?
Got anything, Carl?
Well, I mean, we're just short of anything different than that. We're just looking at the capital facilities plan. And I don't remember when it was, Paul told me the other day when it was last updated. It wasn't all that long ago. And so, I mean, that's what we've already put a bunch of our effort into in our planning. There's no reason to go off anything different than that. If we're gonna do that, then we'll update the plan. That's what we're going off of. If anybody wants a refresher on that, you can give me a call and we'll look at it.
Be nice to know when it was and how long ago it was and that, because to me, it seems like it was like 8 to 9 years ago. Is it sooner than that? Actually, an analysis on the roads.
Is that that T-square? Is that T-square thing?
Yeah.
The analysis?
Plan. This is our whole transportation capacity plan that you're talking about, isn't it? Transportation.
No, I'm just talking about just the capital facilities.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Well, and you know, Lyle, you're bringing that up because if we're looking at it, those are priority, right? The capital projects are priority to keep things going, the foundational government responsibilities that we have from a budget standpoint. We've got to know what those are so that we can allocate funds to anything else because they just come first. And so I think that's why we're asking so that we're not mid-budget kind of last-minute decisions trying to fit stuff in when those are priority. You know, we don't want to have to go raise property taxes or sales tax.
So what is the analysis called when they come and they actually look at our roads and assess
roads
each one of them? What?
It's a roads inventory.
A roads inventory. When's the last time we had a roads inventory? Because in my mind, that's over 8
I
to
think
10 years
that's
ago. Jeff's the last one that was doing anything.
kind of
with
pushing
it.
on it, and that's the T-square stuff, isn't it?
I don't know.
I thought that was, I always thought that was T-squared.
Well, so, I mean, we raised this issue a little bit before and I went and talked to Paul about it and what he told me was in the past 2 years, it's been updated. And so that sounds like that's not enough information to give to you at this time.
Well, if you're able to come to us with priorities of what roads are in the worst shape versus the best shape, then that's plenty, right?
Yeah, and I've seen, I've
Yeah.
seen the list that, you know, there's
Okay.
ones that are gonna be carried forward that we didn't get to.
It'd be good for us to be able to see that analysis, because, you know, to see the depth and
Okay.
that type of stuff. Because, you know, our streets and that type of stuff, I mean, we're talking about fixing Main Street and doing a park and everything else like that. We
It's all priority.
gotta keep our
Yeah.
roads and utilities and everything running properly. That takes precedence.
If I may, Mayor, there is a bill being considered this session. It's Senate Bill number 310 that is looking specifically at a transportation utility fee. And as part of that bill, it would require a study to begin the fee and a yearly renewal or a yearly reassessment of the fee to make sure that it's being used appropriately and is being brought in at a rate that helps meet the goals that are outlined in the initial study. It hasn't passed yet, but I think this is a step in the right direction. It's something that we might want to consider as far as diversifying our tax revenue streams.
How is it generated?
It's a fee just like it would be applied to any other utility fee. It's a transportation utility fee. It's for all residents and businesses, and there's an exception for religious institutions. That was kind of a controversial thing that they put in there, but churches and other religious institutions wouldn't have to pay the transportation utility fee because they're not generating a lot of traffic except for maybe 1 or 2 days a week. There is a provision in there that would allow for the fee to be applied differently for businesses, especially businesses that are heavily dependent on roads to get there, drive-through restaurants, for example. And then you could tier that down to office uses and other things. But residences are all kind of given the same fee. Just as an example, we have 4,000, roughly 4,000 utility connections in the city. If each connection were to pay a $10 a month fee, that would be quite a substantial, that would be $50,000 a month. That's right around $500,000 a year that would go directly towards our roads. And they would have to be earmarked for roads, but that would go a long ways towards filling potholes, putting in new sidewalks, and rehabilitating existing roads that are in need of repair. So that's something that we might want to consider. And as part of that assessment that you're talking about, we'd probably want to update that anyway when we're looking at this new, if we were to look at implementing this new transportation utility fee.
Because my concern is we've cut all of our roads because we had to do secondary water. I mean, that's been a no-brainer. It's been good for our community. But at the same time, every one of our roads have been cut into, and I'm worried about the longevity.
Yeah.
With all the cutting that we've done.
Mm-hmm. So it's something that we might want to consider going forward. Again, I don't know what the status on this bill is. The legislative website says that as of today, it went from the Senate to the House, and it was the second reading today in the Senate, so I don't know where it's at in the House, but that's where the last location is the clerk of the House has it, so.
So to be clear, that all that does is just designate the money from one pot to a different pot, right?
No, this is a new fee.
Increase.
So an increase to our citizens of $10 a.
Utility, in their utility bills. Is that right?
Yes, and the $10 was just a number I threw out. It could be more or less than that based on what our assessment study comes back saying that we're in really tough shape and behind a lot. There is a 10-year sunset clause on that, but there's the opportunity for renewal if the ongoing studies show that we have that continuing need for the funds.
Lyle, based on what you just said about cutting into roads, we know what capital projects we're doing through 2028. We know that pretty clearly. It's on our list, on our big spreadsheet. But one of the things that makes road projects hard is it's advantageous to coordinate that with replacing pipelines that need to be replaced, because unfortunately, a lot of those corridors are the same. Main Street, the main north and south roads, they're all the same ones that need to have pipelines replaced and road replaced, and we don't want to do a nice road project just to cut into it after that. And so part of that is coordinating that, and that's part of the nice but also challenging part of having Public Works all be one entity, is that we do both or we don't do any kind of thing.
For an example there, it's, when we do 1,000 west from the Maverick south, we gotta upsize that sewer line. That's where you've seen our pumps running the last couple of years. So that's gotta be built into that project, you know?
So, just from a city council point of view, it'd be nice to be up to par with what's going on, you know, where are the projects you guys have identified that need to be done? And the cost associated with it, so we're aware of what's going on, and it would be really good.
And I'm certain that we will have those discussions as part of the budget, but if you wanna have more.
Lyle, I think he's looking for what you have on your paper for up to 2028, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, even into next year, but we need to see that the roads are, that we're addressing the issues.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that or been part of a discussion for quite a long time. I don't know.
Lyle, it'll be on the 18th agenda.
Okay,
We'll have all of our capital projects for you guys to.
okay, good. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
One question while we're on this. I've been asked 100 times, when is 1200 south?
I have two.
I have just been asked that today.
Oh,
So, Jeff, do you want to kind of give us a little update on that? I was asked that again today too.
Blake Christensen.
Yeah.
Do we need to call Warren Buffett and see when the power poles will be moved?
No, the recommendation was actually a chainsaw and then just have Rocky Mountain Power come fix them once the lines were down. So we thought that might expedite the moving process.
We're in a public meeting.
For the record, that was all sarcasm. With the turnover, there had been some right-of-way that had not been dedicated, the city had not acquired from a couple property owners along 1200 South. Since just a couple of weeks ago, we got that, and from my understanding of the development process and working with Rocky Mountain Power, it's now at the point we can get the engineering done and send them the construction drawings, at which point they start, we'll probably start working on it. Paul and I talked about it earlier this morning about trying to get those drawings done and everything coordinated, so that would be one of the projects for next year. Just because we have to wait for the canal to be empty before we could go out and do the roadway widening around the canal. So there's probably some work we could look at getting done before then, but because as much as the power lines are an issue, so is how narrow the canal bridge is. So we'll look at trying to get all that coordinated through the engineering drawings.
Hoping,
Sorry.
well, I just hoping for next year.
Sorry. We're going to the railroad tracks, right?
from the railroad tracks to,
I would personally like to see a design that goes from Iowa String to what road?
Cemetery.
The cemetery. And just see what we can generally afford with that and prioritize where we need to. But I think it'd be nice to see improvements go all the way to, because there's not really good sidewalk down through the portions of Rocket Road that connect all that.
I drive over that every day, and the railroad just finished putting in their
right, their new arms.
right in the middle of that
Yeah.
widening.
Right.
Do we have enough money to buy those other right-of-ways?
They just gave them to us, I think.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
So yes, we have the money for that.
Yes.
We can afford free.
Please for me.
But that's one of the, I just did end up being able to follow up with the title company to see where that was at. So it's possible we paid them earlier and it just didn't get processed. I don't know.
All right.
Is there also game plan for covering up the rest of that canal in the RDA project? Is that underway?
Mike is, yeah, his
That's
intent
gonna be
is to
dependent
cover the
on
rest of
Micah's
that
agenda.
canal. I don't know
Okay.
if it'll be part of this RDA. On Friday, we're going to learn more about that.
Okay,
If we
thank
can
you.
hold
It
on.
won't be this year, Bo. Canal's coming too quick for them to. And they could, I don't think they could get all the cement things.
I thought they were having them made, from what I was told.
I did too, but I don't think they can get them in before the canal comes in now. Maybe.
Right.
Well, we're only 2 months.
That's why
in.
I'm asking, just financially, if there's anything that needs to be planned on there, and then the RDA.
Yeah, I think that Friday's meeting will be
Okay,
helpful.
wonderful.
Any other questions for Jeff? Okay, thanks, Jeff. Let's see, any unfinished business that we need to take any action on, council? Hearing none.
We
Re-
didn't have any,
What's that?
we didn't have any follow-up on any comments that I remember. Do you guys?
We only had the one last time, Jed Abbott had the comment. I think we're working on that. It has to do with the veterans,
The names and
their names and everything, so we're working on that. All right, administration reports. Bill?
Nothing from me this week. Just work with an incredible crew and grateful every day for being able to come to work with the best people in the known free world.
Well, we appreciate you too. It's been.
For the record, that was sarcasm too.
Jeffrey.
Sarcasm.
Jeffrey Scott. Okay. DRC, Jeff, anything on there?
Not much from DRC. Bill and I have been working through the first draft of the form-based code for Main Street. We broke it into halves because it's about 100-ish pages of code. So we sent our comments back last week to Landmark, and they're working on the first half, and we've reviewed the second half. So we're excited that that's going. We're impressed by the speed at which Landmark's been turning our comments around. And we're excited to kind of get further into the weeds with that.
All right, department head reports. Let's start,
Sean's there. Dustin already had his.
Dustin, yeah.
I'd let Sean start.
Okay, there we go. Sean and Andy, do you want to both come up or do you want to just? Okay,
got it.
all right.
So not much from the fire department. There was a couple things that I just wanted to bring to you. The cell of the engine that we replaced, I got the email out to all the county fire chiefs in the county because we wanted to keep it local if we could. Had quite a few people call me, and they actually did a few drive arounds with it the other day. So we're shooting for the end of the month is when they're going to bring their sealed bids to the city, and then I think it was the 26th or something of this month, we'll open them and see what kind of money we can get out of it. So we did do a min bid on it. We wasn't going to give it away, but we wanted to make it appealing for the small departments in the county to take advantage of something that would work great for them. Another thing, Nate Christensen, our emergency manager, he's been building a flyer for urban interface fire prevention type area that he's got put together, and we've got together with the scout troop here locally, and we're going to have them distribute them up on Radio Hill in that area. So hopefully, California and everything, they're all worried about, fires on the hill. So this is going to be kind of a fire prevention for them up on the hill. So we're going to try to get them out, sometime, this month. So other than that, that's about it from us. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's see, Carl, do you want to take a minute?
We're excited to have made 3 offers in our department to new employees who are in the process of accepting and having their background checks and stuff. So 2 in the water department and 1 in the roads department. We felt, really that applications were ongoing and open, and we collected applications for a couple of months before we did interviews, and we had some pretty decent candidates. So we're excited to see what we really get once they show up. I think they'll be good. So that's good. We have the Division of Water Quality will be coming next Thursday to do a treatment plant inspection. I'm I'm not entirely sure if that's annual or if that's like done every 3 years kind of thing. But we feel prepared for that, and that'll be good. That's about it. We're not a whole lot new this time around. Any questions? Thank you for sharing your, I just assumed that you were more familiar with that project spreadsheet, but that was a bad assumption, so. But yeah, we've all been working on that, and next Thursday, or not next Thursday, in 2 weeks on Tuesday, on the 18th, you'll be able to take a look at that.
Thank you.
And look forward to your feedback.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Carl. Let's see, Dustin, do you have anything else for us?
No, we're good on the police department.
Okay. Zach?
Hey, council. I do got quite a bit list. I am the conference chair for our state organization called URPA, which is the Utah Recreational and Parks Association. We will have our annual conference next week. So I'll be out of the office next week attending that conference. I do have one more year on that board, so I'll be continuing service there. Some sport updates. Junior Jazz basketball completed this past Saturday. One highlight, there was a team that didn't win a game all regular season long. They were kind of bummed, and then they get into tournament and they made it all the way to the championship game where they lost to an undefeated team. But it's those kind of stories that we love to hear, and that's kind of the reason why we do our evaluations and the systems the way that we do, is so that everyone has a chance to be on a team and make those kind of memories. Overall, we had 820 participants in Junior Jazz this year that were anywhere from 3 years old up through seniors in high school. Our karate program, we had 20 participants, but we were kind of maxed out due to lack of facilities. We had another 25 on a waiting list trying to get in. Our spring soccer registration ended yesterday. We have 610 participants that are going to be playing with us currently. Adult soccer is also starting. We have 4 teams in that, and another one's youth volleyball, where we have 68 participants wanting to play, but we're again maxed out on facilities. We have hired a new parks employee this week, and he started yesterday. He actually came from the water department, is it? The water department with the Public Works. He is a great employee, and he has a lot of experience in the park side from growing up with his stepfather. So he'll be a great addition to retain within the city and transfer over into the Parks and Recreation. We've also revised our family fitness programs and started some new programs with that. The Slothathlon registration is open, where we're pushing family fitness into the community and trying to get people fitness minded and become a healthy community, as we've talked about some of the previous meetings. Our recent hire, our community events coordinator, she's doing some amazing things community event wise. Where the planning of the Tremont Farmers Market is wrapping up, and she's done some great things working with the 4-H and the FFA with the schools. So with that, we plan to bring more produce, baked goods, and perishable items to that farmers market and make it around farmers, basically. We want to get rid of the little arts and crafts from that market and move that to a different thing that has been created for adults to still participate in.
Twice a month, are you?
Yep, so that's moved to the second and fourth Fridays from 4 to 8 p.m. With that, we also want to provide more opportunities for the youth to be able to have FFA projects, summer projects, for those that are not available or have access to livestock, and and things. So that'll give more opportunity for the high scores to be able to, or all youth to be able to sell. And so they're going to be able to have a booth at this farmer's market for free to be able to learn their entrepreneurial, whatever, Lyle, you want to say that for me? Entrepreneurial skills. That's a great addition to that market and to the community. So the new event I talked about is called Get Out Tremonton. It's an acronym that stands for Gather Everyone Together in Our Unique Town, where we plan on having youth, let's say dance, where they can come together and show off their skills, or bands or other entertainment at Schumann Park as well, and trying to bring community together with those events. We've also started working with Blackthorn Media, who we approved a contract with a month ago or so, to help with our community engagement, to bring them in and to help us get a word out to the community a little better. We've done a little bit within the Parks and Recreation as a test, and we're still working on a plan to get all the city departments involved with that. So, Councilman Lewis, we'd like to get with you as a part of the city council, I think, to give some updates. So we'll include you on some of that if you're good with that still. So,
sure.
Okay. We're also working, we've started discussions for our Parks and Recreation master plan that was approved last meeting as well. We've gone over some of that and started the process. We're going through the conditions, our facility conditions report, similar to the streets as you were asking, Councilman Vance. But this is for Parks and Recreation and the state of our parks and facilities. So we're currently updating that within our master plan as well. So that's kind of all I got. I know it was a little long-winded, but any questions from any of the council members?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Zach. All right. Council reports. Let's see. Let's start with you, Bo.
Well, there's a lot. First of all, thank you for all the hard work that's going into the capital schedules and getting all that ready. That's not light work. And
My head's doing the work. I'm going to make Jeff compile it also.
yeah. I mean, one of the hardest things to do is to look forward in the future and predict the future, right? And so we know that it's not bulletproof, and just thank you for the hard work that you are doing there. It's so helpful for us when we go to make financial decisions, when we have good data. You can make good decisions with good data. And it's the unpredictable that throws us off guard and puts us in a position where we feel like we have to say no, unfortunately, sometimes. And so I think, Chief Cordova, thank you for bringing that today, getting it on the forefront of our minds, helping us understand what the future might look like there, and just giving us data that we can work with. So the more we can do that as department heads, the better off we're going to be as a city council to make decisions financially. The Economic Development Game Plan Steering Committee, Advisory Committee, whatever we want to call it, has been assembled. We'll be doing our first meeting March 10th. There are currently 7, 2 pending invitations on that committee. Sean Milne from Bragg is sitting on that committee. He's very excited about where we're headed with it. Together, him and the mayor, I think it's going to be very helpful to have that committee help us game plan. I mean, as we look at the city, I mean, it's a corporation. It needs income less expenses equals deficit or surplus. And so there's several ways that you can get increased income and that's raising taxes, which I try not to do and I don't want to do. I think we always need to be decreasing taxes as much as we can. As I look at the economic development and some of the revenues that we do have in sales tax, a lot of it is driven off of businesses that thrive because of our low sales tax here in the city. And I think we need to do everything we can to maintain that, both the burden to our residents, but also to help businesses thrive here. And Lyle's set the groundwork for a lot of future potential here economically, in setting the framework for businesses. Both Lyles have. Lyle Vance, you've been doing a lot of work on the economic structure of that. And we're coming into an exciting time where a lot of businesses rely on 25,000 residents in the area. And so we're just coming up on that if we collect them all together. And we're going to see exciting opportunities starting to arrive. I think I chose the right time to jump in. So anyway, I think this steering committee that's representative of some are people who are in leadership positions down at Hill, and they leave the county every day to go work down at Hill because that's where the jobs are at. And so we're trying to gather the perspective of a lot of successful business owners, people that leave the valley that represent the people we want to lure here, and building this committee that will help steer the vision of the economic game plan behind luring businesses in and therefore increasing revenue. So it's exciting. I'm really excited to see this committee come together.
Thanks.
That's all I have.
Thanks.
Sorry it was long-winded.
No, appreciate it.
I just have a question on the Main Street trees. If we're gonna get rid of them, we ought to be getting rid of them before we have leaves and all that stuff.
Starting to come out. This is a good time to remove the trees. I think it just is, it's kind of your decision at this point. I think from a standpoint of opening Main Street, so you can kind of see what you've got. I think that's maybe a good thing to do. I've heard it also said that maybe we ought to be waiting and be a little more certain of just how we're going to go forward also.
Well,
So
but I think we determine that the trees there are too big, too whatever,
diseased and causing property damage.
that we ought to be getting rid of them while there's less to get rid of, and just get somebody that does that. Like
I
grinder.
think that's something, something we better get, a decision we better make.
That's what I was gonna, why don't we put it on the agenda? So
Yeah. Lindsay,
get
can you
everybody voting
plan
on
on
it
putting
one
that
way or
on the
another?
agenda?
Because there's different
That we
ideas.
thought that the tree board maybe could meet first and then make a recommendation to the city council, if that's what you.
Yeah, we can do that. But let's kind of be planning on, I think the point is well taken.
I just think
before
we've
the leaves
been
start
talking
coming out.
about it for a year and a half, and I think I thought we determined that they were coming out,
Year and a half.
no matter what we do.
And
So,
I guess I'm.
I mean, the other side of it is that we didn't want to tear the trees out, not knowing what we were going to be doing. And so we were afraid that we'd level the trees and then nothing would happen. So with that, I think it's going to be good to put it on the agenda and get a vote on it. And I think enough people know that we're trying to do something. We just don't know what we're doing yet. That's what's,
well, we know what we'd like to do, we just don't know.
if we can
the
afford it or
details.
not.
Yeah, afford it or not. Good comments. So we'll make sure that, we'll get the tree board activated and have them make a recommendation, and then let's get this on an agenda soon.
Will we know the budget of Main Street in this budget cycle? Will that be answered? Or how do we go about getting that answer of whether we can afford it or not?
Well, I know that,
We're working on that with our engineer right now, so
Okay.
we have funds available. The question is, does A equal B?
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. We're trying to figure out what B is right now.
Okay.
Be good to get that done during budget time.
is that all
too.
you have, Blair?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's in conjunction with Midland Square. I mean, or what do we, I mean, it's time to bet and declare.
Yeah.
If we're gonna lose that money, then let's,
Well, I think we're just waiting on Chris to come out with the engineer's bid.
The bid set should be out soon.
I'm waiting on numbers. Yeah. So, my turn?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited that Bo has come on board, his energy and that type of stuff. This has been dealt with different ways for the last 10 years and that type of thing. And we are to a brink. I think within the next couple of years, we're going to start seeing some really good things happen. A lot of people in the community want to see more retail and that type of stuff, and franchises have been impossible until we finally hit that 25,000 mark, and we're almost there when you start adding the zip codes up that do their commerce in our area. I haven't got anything to report, but I would like to make a request. I should have done it back on unfinished business. Is there any way that we can contact Grist Mill and get him in here to the city? And I would like to be a part of that. I think Bo would too.
Yep.
Do I need to make the request, or can the city make the request to get them in here and see where they're at?
Please.
Is that okay?
Find out.
Let us know and we'll be glad to come.
Good point.
Okay.
Excited where we're heading with our goals and strategies. I drive the streets of Tremont every day, so I noticed two roads that really are quite bad. I don't know if they're on your list, so if you'll kind of take note of these in your mind and look at them. But 550 and 6th South over there by Rocket Road, you turn and go north off Rocket Road and go down those two streets. They're just choppy bad. And so I don't know if it's part of our plan to resurface those or something soon, but I would like us to look at that.
I think that they got resurfaced.
6th West.
Yeah.
No, I think 7th West got resurfaced, but I know 6th West, just that short one that goes up to the little cul-de-sac, that one's really bad.
It's bad, but it was after secondary, it got that, what do you call it? Rock and tar?
Chip and seal.
Yeah, I don't
Chip
know.
sealed.
Oh, did, but it's in really bad shape. So anyway, you might want to look at it.
Let's check them too.
But those were, as I've driven on the roads, I try to keep an eye on what I feel are the ones that need some attention, and those two kind of stick out right now. But thank you, and I know that I appreciate Dustin bringing that. Other department heads, if you have needs, you need to come sell them to us, okay? We need to hear what everyone needs.
Is that what you got?
That's it.
fire department needs a boss.
Yeah, fire department needs a boss. So who stuffs the water bill with flyers? Them was awful good flyers this time. I haven't opened a water bill in years. Just so you know, I don't pay the water bill. I don't. It just comes out. But them was some really good pamphlets in there. Do we have extras out here, or? Even if you're paperless, you still get them flyers? Okay. Okay. Anyway, great idea for somebody that don't look at their water bill, so. Other than that, thank you, everybody. It's gonna get crunch time with budget, so.
Yes, it is. Well, I want to thank all of you for all of your hard work and input tonight. This has been a great meeting, and I think we got a lot accomplished. I guess I just kind of need to know who is sort of planning on going down to the mid-year conference. Have you given any thought to that on the 16th or the 18th?
Yeah, I'm going.
Lindsay and Cynthia are going to need to know pretty quick on that.
Have they got an agenda out yet?
Yeah, they don't put it out.
Hey, just, if you haven't got it, I stayed at the Hyatt. It was reasonable and you can walk. It's right behind. It was really nice.
Fairfield's also really good.
Bill will be there all week and we got our Fairfield.
When do we need to decide by?
Where's the
Well,
Fairfield? Right there by it?
It's just to the north.
They
It's
need
across
to-
the street to the north.
Oh, yeah.
So you should
Okay.
get everyone or whoever, you should get reserved hotel rooms and then just cancel as needed if that's.
Okay.
Usually happens the one day before to cancel without a fee, so.
We're waiting on tournaments and hockey and basketball schedules, and
hockey.
we're all over the state and country right now. Every weekend.
Busy.
As soon as I get those schedules, I'll commit.
You can plan on me going down to it, Lindsay,
Yep,
and,
me too.
and Blair and I, for at least right now, and
Wes?
Blair and Wes. And
I'm out.
Okay.
Don't say out. That's dramatic.
But I may reserve.
it was kind of dramatic. It really was.
If there's not a good agenda, then I'll cancel, but if there's a good agenda, I don't mind going. I need some time off.
Well, I don't think I've got anything to report on, other than appreciate everybody, appreciate all of you for coming and spending the evening with us. I know it's not, we're not real exciting, but there's a lot of good business that goes on, so we appreciate you sticking it out with us this evening. With that, council, we have,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
all right.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for coming, everybody.
So Curtis doesn't come